3 trail cameras, 3 different states, 3 different years. The cameras were set up by different people, different makes, different models. No shared network, no shared location, no connection to each other at all. And yet, when the footage was reviewed, the figure in each video was identical. Same height, same posture, same way of standing completely still at the edge of the frame. Not walking through, not passing by, just watching. The people who owned those cameras never went back to those trails. Welcome to the faint whisper, where the wilderness keeps records that rangers never file.
The faint whisper.
We are following breaking news regarding the recent disappearances in the national park. Officials are urging caution as the search continues.
Case 1. It started with a deer. That was the whole point of the camera. Marcus Hale was a hobbyist wildlife photographer from rural Tennessee. He had been photographing white-tailed deer on Dillon Ridge for 3 seasons. He knew the trails. He knew the animals. He knew exactly where to mount his camera for the best angles along the eastern tree line. He had done this before. It was routine. In October of that year, Marcus checked his SD cards. After a 2-week gap, he scrolled through the usual footage: deer at dusk, a fox crossing the clearing, a raccoon investigating the base of the camera post. Then the footage from the night of October 14th appeared. The timestamp read 2:41 a.m. The camera had been triggered by motion. The frame showed the clearing, the usual stretch of open grass leading into the tree line on the far side. And at the very edge of that tree line, partially obscured by shadow, something was standing there, not an animal. It was upright, fully upright, arms at its sides. The figure appeared to be facing the camera directly. It was far enough away that no facial features were visible, but the posture was unmistakably human. Relaxed almost, like someone standing in line, like someone waiting. The motion trigger event lasted 4 minutes and 22 seconds. The figure never moved. At the 4-minute mark, a deer crossed the foreground of the frame, completely unbothered, as if nothing unusual was present. Then, in the final seconds of the clip, the figure was simply gone. Marcus watched the clip 11 times. He checked the surrounding clips. Nothing entered or left the frame. No vehicle sounds, no flashlight. No footprints were found the next morning when he visited the site. He reported it to a local hiking forum. Most people told him it was a hunter, a night hiker, someone checking their own equipment. Marcus said none of those explanations held up once you watched the footage closely. He did not remove the camera, but he stopped checking it alone. 6 months later, a man in Oregon posted a video to the same forum, and Marcus recognized the silhouette immediately. Case 2. Joel Peterson was not a photographer. He had set up his trail camera above Crater Hollow in western Oregon for one reason only. Something had been disturbing his property line at night. He owned a small piece of land that backed up against a dense section of state forest, and for several weeks that spring, he had been finding his fence posts pushed inward. Not broken, not damaged, just moved. Deliberately and carefully moved, as if someone had been testing how far back the boundary could be pushed. His dog refused to sleep near the back windows after dark. Joel set up the camera in early April, angling it toward the property line and the tree line beyond it. For 2 weeks, the footage showed nothing unusual. Wind, branches, the occasional possum navigating the fence. Then, on April 22nd, the camera triggered at 3:09 a.m. The figure was standing on the other side of the fence. Joel's property line sat roughly 40 feet from the camera. The figure was just beyond it, inside the tree line, standing in a narrow gap between 2 large Douglas firs. It was positioned almost perfectly between the trees, as if it had chosen that specific spot for the coverage it provided on either side. The body was facing the house. Joel said the thing that stayed with him the most was not the figure itself, it was the dog. He had a motion-activated light on the back porch that the camera could partially capture. That light was on. It had been triggered. His dog had seen or heard something and had activated the sensor from inside the house. And whatever was standing in that tree line had not moved when the light came on. It had not reacted at all. The clip lasted 6 minutes before the camera's battery-saving mode switched off the recording. When it triggered again, 11 seconds later, the space between the trees was empty. Joel sent the footage to the forum with a single question: "Has anyone else seen this?" Marcus Hale replied within the hour. The figure in Joel's footage was facing a different direction than the one in Marcus's video. But the height was the same. The stillness was the same. The way it occupied the edge of the frame without fully entering it, the same. They were still comparing notes when a woman in upstate New York uploaded a third video. She had not seen either of theirs. Case 3. Diane Cho had been maintaining a trail camera near Harlow Creek for almost 2 years. She was part of a small volunteer group that monitored wildlife patterns in a stretch of protected wetland in New York. The cameras were part of a larger regional project. They were checked monthly. The footage was logged, cataloged, and submitted to a university database. The camera near Harlow Creek was one of 12 in the network. It was positioned along a narrow game trail that ran parallel to the creek bed, capturing movement between the water source and a known deer bedding area to the north. In her 2 years of checking that camera, Diane had recorded hundreds of hours of footage. She knew what belonged in those woods. The footage from the night of February 8th did not belong. The timestamp read 1:17 a.m. The temperature was 19 degrees Fahrenheit. There was a light snow on the ground. The figure appeared from the left side of the frame, but it did not walk into the frame the way a person walks. It was simply there in one frame and not there in the previous one. The camera recorded in short, triggered bursts, not continuous footage, which meant there was no way to see where it had come from. It was standing on the game trail. It was not dressed for the temperature. Or rather, Diane could not clearly determine what it was wearing. The figure appeared dark against the snow-covered ground. No visible reflective gear, no headlamp, nothing that a person would reasonably carry in below freezing temperatures in the middle of the night in a remote wetland. The figure's head was turned slightly to the right, away from the camera, as if it was listening to something in the tree line across the creek. Diane later said that detail was the most unsettling part to her. Not that it was there, but that it seemed preoccupied, that it seemed to be paying attention to something she could not see. The triggered recording burst ended. When it restarted, 22 seconds later, the snow on the game trail was undisturbed. There were no footprints. In 19 degrees, with fresh snow on the ground and a clear trail surface, no footprints leading in, none leading out. Diane submitted the footage to the university database and flagged it for review. She also, on a quiet evening at home, searched for similar footage online. She found Marcus and Joel within 20 minutes. 3 cameras, Oregon, Tennessee, New York. The dates span 14 months. The cameras are different brands. The terrain is different. The seasons are different. But certain details remain constant across all 3 recordings. The figure is always captured between 1 and 4 a.m. It is always upright and still. It never moves toward the camera. It never acknowledges the camera directly, though in Marcus's footage, it appears to face it. In each case, the triggered recording ends before the figure leaves, and in each case, the surrounding environment shows no evidence of entry or exit, no tracks, no disturbed ground cover, no sounds captured on audio in the moments before or after the figure appears. Wildlife biologists who reviewed the footage ruled out known animals. One researcher noted that the consistency of the posture across 3 geographically unrelated recordings was, in her words, statistically difficult to account for. She declined to offer an alternative explanation. The 3 people who filmed the footage are still in contact. They have not returned to the specific locations where their cameras were mounted. Marcus eventually retrieved his equipment. Joel left his in place, but stopped reviewing the footage. Diane's camera was officially decommissioned from the Wildlife Network 6 weeks after the February incident, listed in the project records as malfunctioning. She says it was not malfunctioning. None of them have reported any further incidents. None of them have confirmed they checked. There are over 4 million trail cameras currently active across the United States. Most of them run unmonitored for weeks at a time. Most of the footage is never reviewed in full. Most of what gets captured in those night vision frames, in those isolated hours between midnight and dawn, is simply deleted to make room for the next day. It is worth considering what might be in that footage. It is worth considering how long something would have to be moving through those frames, patient and unhurried and completely still, before anyone happened to notice.